Hey guys, welcome back to Passive Money. My name's Alex. That's Kirby over there. Today we're going to be talking about how basically talking about something or studying something that you're interested in without putting in action or effort into achieving that thing is not enough. So if you're just talking about, something, say if it's investing or anything in general, really, but in this case, in investing, if you're talking about real estate, but you aren't actively trying to acquire a property, or if you're talking about stocks, but you don't invest in the stock market. And I've seen that firsthand where people talk about the stock market because they hear it on the news or whatever, and they talk about it like it's game night, basically, but they really don't know anything about the stock market or how it operates or how to even place a trade. So with that being said, Kirby, what do you have on that?
Yeah, and for me, I look at it more of, as you said, so one book that I always tell people to read, well, it's a couple books, but number one is Dave Ramsey, Total Money Makeover. Number two is Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Poor Dad. And the thing that surprised me is when, I send them a screenshot of the book or I say, read the book, it's surprising people like, oh, I have that book. Or they say, oh, I read that book. And as soon as somebody say, I read that book, but again, the reason how the topic of reading those books come up is because they're in financial dire situations. But then I'd be like, hey, you need to read this book, so just to, open up their knowledge, of course, Dave Ramsey and Robert Kiyosaki, they do a hell of a job explaining in those books. So go ahead and read the book. But they'll say, I have that book or I've read that book. And then when they say that, I say, you need to read it again because you missed every point there was in the book. The people think because you read the book, that means, okay, you did something. You have done nothing. You got to actually put it into action. Like you were saying, people, they'll read one real estate book and then they think they're expert. No, you got to actually go out there and write the deals. You got to go out there and get pre-approvals and walk properties and do all that other stuff that goes along with it. Not just, oh, I can regurgitate some stuff out of book. That means I'm doing something. Or I can study it. You have to be able to go from point A to point Z. Z is closing the property, putting the tenant in there, start collecting rent with good cash flows, and be prepared to do it again. Not just, oh, I read a book and think I've done something. Like you said, I know a lot of people that believe that because they read a book that they're doing something. Like, I mean, of course, it's not a religious channel, but it says faith without works is dead. That's what the Bible says. You can have all the knowledge you want, but if you don't do it, if you don't put that knowledge to work, you better off not having the knowledge at all because it's not going to do anybody any good. Because you might could tell somebody, oh, this is, let's just use stocks. Oh, this stock is a good stock, or they can't even say this stock is a good stock because they don't know why. They'll be like, oh, this is how the stock market works. But if somebody start asking them nuanced questions about this or that, or how do you value a stock or whatever, yeah, you can regurgitate what it say out of the book. But okay, now you read it in the book, but now here goes the stock. Let's just use Nike for instance. Here's Nike stock. How do you evaluate that stock? And they can't actually do it themselves. They probably can go back in the book and start writing down formulas to try to do it. But unless you're actually doing the work after you gain the knowledge, that's the only time that it matters. And I know a lot of people, like I said, a lot of people that have a lot of books, they have them sitting there collecting dust, or they read the book and just be like, oh yeah, I'm doing so much, I'm reading books. Reading books don't put money in your pocket. Reading books, one thing you do is it further educates you, but if you get an education and you're not putting it out there in the ether to make that education work for you, what's the point of even having an education?
Exactly. I think that oh man, I don't want to trigger anybody, but I think that really hits on like some people with like certain college degrees, say with degree in business or degree in finance, but they don't apply that to their lives, or someone that works as, say they help other people with their investments where they may have knowledge on something, but they're not even applying it to their own investments. And I mean, it's very true. I think a lot of people speak about a certain topic, say in finance or investing, and it kind of stimulates their brain or whatever, like, oh, this is a cool topic, but they're too afraid to take risk or apply themselves to actually taking action on that thing.
Yeah, and I don't care if you trigger them. I know I have many. When I say many, I mean many friends and associates that I know that work in the financial advisory space, meaning that they collect funds from other people and they invest their other people's funds into different mutual funds or stocks or whatever. Now, out of all of those people that I know are in that space, not one, not one invests their own money. They do not put their own money to work in that same landscape where they work. I mean, me, I worked in financial centers, and everybody knows about the company's financials that they're working for, but they have no clue about their own personal financial situation. Only thing college is going to do, and I'm not bemoaning college, but college is going to teach you how to be a worker. But you need to be able to apply this stuff in your own personal life because everybody has a time cap on life. And then most people live that check to check rat race life. So how are you going to change your family tree if you're not putting anything to work outside of, hey, get a job, and then tell your kids to get a job and tell your kids after that to get a job. But nobody's happy because they got a job and they don't have no extra money at the end of the month. So what are you going to do extra besides reading a book to make that happen? And just investing in penny stocks or get rich quick schemes is not it. But people want it the fast way or no way, and that's I think is going to be a detriment to a lot of people, and that's I believe is the real gap between the haves and the have-nots. Really, not the haves and the have-not. That top 10% of the income class and the bottom 40% is because those people took risks and went out there and tried to do it. People in the middle class just got the degree, work. They're still miserable because they still live in check to check. But the people in the lower class believe they having a better life because they just have more money to live check to check with. But they're still miserable because they don't have no money at the end of the month either. And that's I think is going to be well, not going to be. It's already a detriment to society. But people have to start putting in action after gaining the knowledge.
Yeah, I think when people can start to really think about how time is limited on earth, that like and truly understand that by then they'll begin to take more action, because if you really see that, like, if you want to do all these sorts of things but actually see that you may not have the chance to do it if you don't do it now, then you'll lose out on it forever. And I mean, to me, that's just how I see it. I mean, even doing this YouTube channel, when you asked if I wanted to do it, it wasn't like, oh, let me talk about it with my wife. And it's just like, okay, yeah, sure, let's do it. I mean, there's always going to be a risk in everything that you do. But one of the greatest things I heard from someone talking about this was there's even a bigger risk in not taking action and doing something.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, and I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. And people do think about it. People do think about how much time they have on left on this earth, but they only think about it when they're, a senior citizen.
when it's too
When
late.
all of their biggest money making years are behind them. When they in their 20s, I mean, you're like I said, you're rare. You're in your 20s. You think you're gonna live forever. You ain't thinking about, 30s, 40s, you thinking about turning up, not you, but the people in the 20s and 20s up thinking about turning up and doing all this, buying a Ferrari, Lamborghini, blowing the bag and all that other stuff that they say. But but like you said, if those people would take the mindset of those people, the senior citizens, and realize how much time, because if you ask anybody that's 60 and over, and now they're looking at the very down slope of their life, they're like, it went by so fast. If the people in the younger generation had that mindset, then I believe the achievement of actually going to put stuff in action would happen. But no, they think in 20, they think they're gonna live forever, and that's what slows them down.
Yeah, and I think one big point on this too is like for maybe for those watching that may want to get invest or get started in real estate or stocks or whatever, taking action on anything from what I, at least for me, from learning from what I've learned on anything I've done that I've taken action on, the initial step is not comfortable. It's just not.
Yeah.
But you have to do it anyway if you want to achieve that. So and it's funny because I heard this like one saying like you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And I don't think
Right.
I learned that. I don't think I actually understood that till I bought like this property, till I did this. Like
Right.
until I did
Right.
this, I was like, okay, I kind of get it. And it's just I don't know, it's like you just have to force yourself to do it. And that's
Yeah. And the thing is, nobody else gonna force you to do it. Is you gotta have that self wherewithal to push yourself. Because everybody's cool with being in the comfort free zone, everything's comfortable, everything's comfortable. But to achieve something great, I always just say, if you want to have a radical change or you want to achieve something extreme, you have to do something extreme. You can't just sit here in safe land and be like, "Oh, something's great gonna happen to me." That's why so many people want penny stocks. That's why so many people play the lottery. Oh, it's safe. It only costs me a $2 or $3, and then hopefully one day it hits. But the people that's being actually successful in life, they left the comfort zone and took the risk. They maybe failed two, three, four times, maybe, or they took the risk and then they exceeded and then they took off and ran with it. But it's the people that sit in the safe zone that don't want to take no risk, that want to bitch, moan, and cry about the people that took the risk and blame the people that took the risk for the reason for their failures. That's in the safe zone. You have to leave that safe zone to be successful. Well, that being said, thanks for joining into the channel. Please like, comment, subscribe. Tell me where I'm wrong at. I'm used to it, so I won't feel bad. But please like, comment, share, and see y'all in the next video. Have a good one.
I'll see you guys.